What is with the flight paths?
Why are you so obsessed with talking about sex? He was like, sex. Hello, welcome back to Sextras.
Where we talk about sex and all the extras.
I'm Honey.
And I'm Maria.
And today we're going to talk about if it's appropriate to comment on other people's relationships. I'm excited.
So you have opinions?
I do have opinions. I have like mixed feelings about it, I feel.
Yeah.
But we'll obviously get
I don't know.
into
I think it's like one of those things that it is quite like dependent on the situation.
Mhm.
Like, but I guess we'll get into it.
Mm-hmm. What zone are you in this week?
What zone am I in? Just been so tired. I was literally falling asleep on the way back from work, and I was like, oh god, I need to wake myself up. But yeah, just other than tired, you know, so like a little bit grey, I'd say.
You're stressed or burnout?
Not quite. I'm not really. I'm just tired.
Yeah, just tired. Okay.
Just tired.
Fair.
I don't know if that's still grey, fair enough. But yeah. And yeah, other than that, I don't know. I'm also just like so sick of this fucking long distance relationship at the moment. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. So maybe I am just grey, like just a little bit frustrated and annoyed. It's just kind of like I haven't really gone to see my boyfriend for like longer than a weekend in ages.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, because I mean, we do talk like nearly every day, but you know, like a lot of the time, it feels like these sort of like surface-ish kind of conversations. You know, it's kind of just like an update on what we've been up to. Yeah, we don't really like quote unquote spend time together, other than these like 2 nights that we see each other like in the month or whatever. So it's just pissing me off now. Like, I'm just a little bit done with it.
That's sad.
And I don't know, I just feel like we could just be doing better, you know, like we could implement more things, but I don't know how to do that. Like, that's genuinely kind of how I feel. Like, I feel like this precedent has been set, and it's like, I don't know how to do that without like asking for so much, because like it's already like, okay, I've already set this thing of like, okay, we need to call every day, and like I also need you to like send me like texts throughout the day, you know, kind of like. So I don't know, I think that's like more than enough to ask of someone, in my personal opinion, but like it doesn't feel like enough right now. Like I'd almost rather like not speak every day, but then have like a date night or whatever kind of thing. But I just don't think he'd go for that. And not that it's like, oh, it has to be all on his terms, but then that's like another, I'm getting so into this thing, I'm so sorry, but that's like another issue of it. Like, and like, I almost do feel like a lot of things are on his terms sometimes, but like I know that's not true, because like he has compromised in a lot of things, but I don't know. And also like we just don't like, our sex life doesn't exist anymore other than like the time we see each other. So, and like I've kind of brought this up to him, like I'm not really fine with that, because like I'm not like, what? Why do, like, that's crazy that like my sex life only exists 2 days a month. Like, what?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but he's like, oh, I don't know, it kind of works for me in this vibe. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't know, we kind of need to have like a proper conversation about it. And then that's the other thing, I feel like I can't bring up certain things, because it's like we'll only have this like 10-minute call or 20-minute call like in the day, and I don't want to like just have it about this issue, you know. I don't know, it's so like fucking annoying. Like, I'm done with it, basically.
It's so hard.
I'm just feeling fed up, and I'm sorry for that super long update. Maybe that was more relevant for last week, but
no, it's okay.
Just had to get that one off my chest, apparently. Oh goodness, how are you, honey? What zone are you in?
I'm good. I actually don't know. I'm quite bored. I don't know. We don't have a colour for that.
Our colours are just really not filling the scope that we need.
Yeah, they're not cutting it right now. Because I guess I don't really have a dating and relationships life, so I can't really say those zones. I guess just like white or green, like living my own life.
Yeah. I'd say maybe white, you know, I feel like you're in this space of like figuring out, do I want to date, like do I not want to date,
Yeah,
what do
that's
I
true.
like really want to do. So it's kind of like, you know, figuring yourself out, focusing on you and like whatever.
Yeah, I've been having crazy discharge this week. And like, not that that's relevant to the zones, but I just thought everyone should know that. As in like, because I got my implant taken out. And like, I've just like, I'm not horny like I thought I would be, but I've been having crazy discharge.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I'm like, why can't it like be relevant discharge, you know what I mean? like why can't that be like horny discharge?
You should document your, you know, the side effects that you've noticed.
Yeah, that's true. I was gonna make a TikTok about it. I'll make one.
Well, you've documented it here now. Yeah. What else?
I was just really tired last week, but then this week I've been feeling pretty good.
It's not a crazy hormoneless change that you thought you'd have?
No, like last week definitely, but this week I feel much more balanced and just like calm. But I'm a bit scared because my herpes pills run out tomorrow, I think.
Oh god.
After 6 months, and like hormones and like bleeding, like having your period are things that can make you get an outbreak. So I'm a bit scared of how those two things are gonna collide.
Wait, are you still on your period?
No, I finished my period.
Oh,
it was only like 5 days, like so short for me.
Wait, were you not so happy?
Yeah,
finally.
But I'm scared it's gonna come back. That's why I'm not like celebrating.
Okay, sorry, I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx it.
So, but it's fine. It's fine. I feel good about it right now because like the discharge is making me think that like it's all going back into order, you know. So hopefully that's the case.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't really know, basically. I guess we'll find out once I finish my herpes pills and like after a few more weeks of having this hormone-free lifestyle.
We got to keep the listeners updated, let them know what's going on with this hormone-free lifestyle, as you say.
Yeah, and then next week is a year since I found out I had herpes.
Oh my god! Yeah, your herpes anniversary.
I know.
That's wild. That was a year ago.
I know.
Wow.
So I will also keep you guys updated about that. Maybe I'll do a like year in my life as having herpes.
Yeah, that's cute.
So yeah, you guys should go follow our TikTok that I've decided I'm gonna make. Yeah, I've made a few videos. It's that Sex Rose podcast. You can go watch them if you want. So yeah, anyway, should we get into the episode?
Let's get into the episode.
That was a very long intro. But now you guys know what's going on with us. Feel free to tell us what's going on with you. Yeah, so we started with a segment and we asked a few things. The first thing we asked is, how do you feel about people commenting on your relationships? So 14% of people said it's inappropriate. 9% said it doesn't bother me, 5% said it's helpful, and 73% said it depends who it is, which I feel like makes perfect sense.
Yeah, for sure.
But we'll get into it. We're gonna do a whole like who, what, why, when situation.
Okay, yeah, and then we also asked, what's the best / most helpful relationship advice or commentary you've received? And someone said, he's draining you, leave him, from their mum.
Nice. Someone said, don't force things, and if things are meant to be, they will work out.
Yeah, the classic. And then someone else said, although relationships can be tough, the energy put into it should be balanced. For sure.
Yeah. And then someone said, stop protecting him.
Yep.
I want to know that story.
What's the best or most helpful advice you've received about your relationship, if you have any?
Received a lot of advice over the years and it was very much needed. But I feel like the best one is like, notice how you feel when you stop like talking to someone, or like when you leave from spending time with someone, because that's just like the most helpful. And then advice I've given myself, not to like toot my own horn, but is like just figure out like how you feel about someone rather than like the feelings they have about you, because I feel like I always latch on to if someone has feelings for me, and then I feel like I have to reciprocate, and then afterwards I realize, oh, I actually really didn't like them, why did I do that? So yeah, just like actually ask myself, like actually check in with myself in the moment. Yeah, what about you?
Mine's probably like after my ex and I broke up, me and my dad had this like, it wasn't really advice, it was more sort of like a pep talk, you know, about just my life and whatever, and how I felt about the whole situation. And he was like, essentially, like, you can't like be with someone expecting them to make you happy, or like you can't expect someone to make you happy, and like being with someone isn't, oh, we make each other so happy. It's like two people that are already happy just get to be happier together, you know.
That's so true.
Yeah, that's a big one, because I mean, you know, I feel like I get very like obsessed with people, and you know, like I depend on them for everything. I'm a very like codependent person in a not good vibes kind of way. So yeah, that's my one, I would say.
That's cute. Yeah, I feel like that's good advice of like people should add things to your life. Like you don't like rely on them. And I think that goes for any relationship, like friendships, anyone you're spending time with, like what are they bringing to your life? And if it's nothing positive, then like why are they in your life?
And like it made so much sense when he said it, even though it's like such an obvious thing, but it's like I genuinely really was like, no, because like the person that you're meant to be with is like, they're gonna make you happy. Like that's where the happiness comes from. Like, what do you mean? So yeah,
this is why I have mixed feelings about relationship advice, because like even though it can sometimes be unsolicited, or like it's something that you've not come to terms with yet, and like maybe you're not ready to hear, sometimes like how your dad said, sometimes there's things that you need to hear, and you it makes perfect sense, like it seems super obvious, but until someone puts it in that like one string of words that is like the perfect phrasing, you don't fully understand what you need to know. And like sometimes it just takes someone saying that to you.
And like also on top of that, I just feel like when you're in situations, it's so hard to like, something that is so clear to me, for instance, like about your relation, like one of your relationships or whatever, that I can see very clearly, it's just you can't see it when you're in it, like you literally can't, you're so blind to it. And then even when you like move on from that situation, then you can see it and you're like, oh,
I wish someone would have said, you know, like me being like, why didn't you guys tell me about my ex? But like you did, kind of, in a roundabout way, you know. But yeah, I think I'm a person that wants to be told what to do. I'm so submissive. Submissive and breedable.
Oh god.
But yeah, anyway, we'll get into this more. We wanted to keep it quite positive, but then we asked what's the worst or most unhelpful or unnecessary commentary on your relationship you've had, and someone said there are plenty of fish in the sea. I hate that. Like fuck off. So annoying.
Yeah, I mean, a bit useless.
Yeah,
like...
it's just useless information.
Cool. I agree, that's not good.
Yeah.
Good commentary or advice. Someone said about their relationship that it was like a mother and son relationship.
Oh. I would hate for someone to say that to me.
Oh, it would
I'd
be
feel
kind
so
of
uncomfortable. I'd be like, yeah. And then we just asked for other thoughts and experiences with this, and someone said, don't give me your unsolicited opinions, I will come to you if and when I need them.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good rule to go by for most people. It's kind of like, just don't give advice if I didn't fucking ask.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying of like, what if they really need to hear it? And obviously, it's not your place to decide if they should hear it or not, but sometimes it's like, I feel like you'll thank me later kind of thing.
Yeah, no, okay, I get what you were saying, but
no. Obviously, again, we'll get into that and like the ethics of it.
Okay, yeah, someone else said, unless they're God and all perfect themselves, they really shouldn't have an opinion. Yeah.
But everyone has an opinion, it's just how you share it.
I know, but I so see that, like, you know, when someone like is like giving you shit about something and you're like, yeah, but they do this and this and this and this, and it's like like where are they coming from to tell me this? Like, and especially with relationships, like that can be such a thing where you're just like, shut the fuck up. Like your relationship is fucked, so I don't know what you're saying.
So true. Yeah. And then someone said, I feel like if it's an unhealthy relationship, it's valid to try and make them see the truth about their partner, but in a healthy relationship, it's kind of unnecessary. Yeah, I agree. I agree, but again, yeah, it's complicated even if it's an unhealthy relationship, because it's like maybe saying it in that moment isn't necessarily going to help them. Maybe it will make them push you away or be skeptical of you. And like, yeah, sometimes you have to take that risk, you know, like sometimes you genuinely don't care that much about how the person will view you in that moment. But yeah, again, it will all be covered, guys, don't worry. We will get into it.
Yeah, well, should we get into it?
Let's get into it. Okay, so the biggest thing I think is who can give you, I mean, maybe not the biggest thing, but maybe the easiest thing to start with is who can give you relationship advice and who will you accept relationship advice from.
Yeah. Well, I kind of see it as like, okay, if you know a certain amount of information about my relationship, or like if I've asked you for advice on a specific situation, I just explained to you, like if I open up the conversation, that's a good indicator, you know.
Okay.
I feel, unless like, yeah, because I don't know, I feel like sometimes you open up a conversation and like you don't really, maybe you think that you want advice and then you hear something that you don't want to hear, and then like you feel the type of way. So I don't know, I think you also need to, like, if you are going to bring up shit, and I think that's another big thing, like I feel like, you know, I'm a big proponent of this lifestyle of like talking all this shit about your relationship and your partner and whatever. That sounds so bad, but like it's more in a like, you know, you're just like complaining to your friends about what's going on, or like explaining like why you're like feeling frustrated about something and like whatever, and you're like venting and ranting, and like it gives people this impression of your partner, especially if like they don't hang out with them a lot, and like if they don't know them. So I don't know, I do think like, first of all, like think about shit that you have said, and I do but then I'm kind of thinking about it from like a bringing it up perspective, but I guess it's more of a like you're receiving the information perspective. Like what if someone opens up and it's like, right, chatting all this shit about this situation that they're going through, whatever, they're frustrated about something, like how much can you say, really? Even if they opened up the conversation and whatever, do you kind of have to wait for them to be like, oh, what do you think, or like what do you think I should do? Like wait for them to like genuinely ask, or like when can you really input?
I don't know. Yeah, and I think it's difficult because like what you're saying about what you just like exactly what you just said, obviously like I think we've talked about this before on the podcast, but I mean we definitely have, how I like made my feelings about your boyfriend very clear at some point, of like obviously from my perspective it was coming from like a place of concern of like you're not the best fit at that point, because you were opening up the conversation of like saying certain things that were bugging you, and like I took that as like, oh, like I really took that and like ran with it, you know, and just like kind of like blew the situation out of proportion. And I think it's hard to like recognize, obviously I'm not excusing it, because obviously like once you said that you weren't okay with me talking about your relationship like that, I was like, okay, yeah, no, that's so fair, like I need to tone it back a bit.
No, but like even just from my like I get it, because I know what I'm like, and like I know that I'll be like, oh, we had this huge argument when like it was literally a discussion, you know what I mean? And like like I'm a very like I exaggerate a lot, and like it's not to defend him or whatever, but like I do feel like I was exaggerating. I'll be like, oh, Shane, sorry, I'll be like, oh no, I can say it. I asked him, he said it's fine.
Oh really?
Yeah. Quick little announcement, guys, I'm gonna start referring as to my boyfriend by his name. His name's Shane, for those of you that didn't know. But yeah, so So wait, what was I saying? Sorry, I got so distracted.
Like, you'll say you had a massive argument, or like,
Yeah, I'll be like, oh, Shane always does this or always does that, when like he did it twice, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I exaggerate, and like I get how I come across as well, and like I constantly was complaining about it, so I completely get that, as well as like being a friend that has also been on the receiving end of like a lot of complaints about like relationships and like shit that's going on and whatever. And it's like, you don't have a good impression of the person anymore. Like, it's just like, okay, this person's shit.
Yeah.
Because like most of the time you'll think your friend's right in the arguments. Like, literally, like, when do you not think they're right, even if they're genuinely not? Like, you most of the time you will side with them, so like, you'll kind of start to get this opinion of them. And I don't know, that's really inevitable. So for me it was kind of like, oh, like I have to choose what I say around people now, kind of thing, which I didn't like, because like that's just not how I like conduct my friendships and myself, really.
I don't want you to have to do that as well, and like no one should feel like they have to do that, because I think it's so easy when you're talking about your relationship with your friends. Like, that should be a safe space, and like from both sides of the conversation, like the person talking about the relationship and the person, or like people hearing about it, you can get really swept up in the moment of being like, oh, what an asshole, you know? Like, for example, in the ultimatum, again, we're gonna do a bonus episode about it, but when Madeline is like, gets her friends to come and meet Colby, or like they've met him obviously, but like something's happened and there's conflict, and you really see them getting all like swept up in the situation and the drama of it, and they're all chatting shit, and then later she says, you know, like they actually do have a pretty good relationship outside of that, but it's just like when conflict arises, it's so easy to just be like, you fucked up, because there's that like pack mentality, and you obviously care about your friend, and you're concerned for them, and you're always going to take their side no matter what. So I think it's just like drawing that boundary, and like now that we have that, I'm like glad that we do, because it's just like I think it makes it a lot easier for us to discuss things. And like I also know that you do exaggerate now, and like I think I know him more as a person as well, where I wouldn't feel comfortable making those comments, because I don't think that about him. Like, I think before, a lot of it came from like, I don't know, I was sad that like I didn't know him or whatever, you know. So but that was also like my own problem, like my personal things coming into it, and I think that's not appropriate. And like I can say that like openly.
And like I think I got so defensive over it because it was kind of like I was just insecure about a lot of things. Like, clearly, like, I wasn't having a great time in this. And it's like, that's why I was, like, talking about it so much. And then, like, when all of a sudden everyone was kind of, like, agreeing with me kind of thing of, like, oh, yeah, like, he's not good for you. And, like, this isn't good and all of this stuff. Like, clearly, like, I'm really in love with this guy. So, like, I'm not just gonna, like, walk away from it now. So it's like, I don't want to be hearing that shit. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Like, it's not... I completely get it, because then I also don't, like, I never want to feel like if you had an opinion about something that, or like wanted to like say something about it, about my relationship, like you wouldn't say it, because as you were saying, like, I want to be told, like, if there's like an issue, that's something that I'm not seeing, like genuinely being blind to, like, I want to hear it. That's fine if like I'm not going to do anything about it, but
you just put it out there.
Like, I care about your opinion, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I think this is a big thing of like, I genuinely value my friends' opinions. Like, I value them more than the relationship usually, which is like maybe a problem and a sign that I'm in the wrong relationships. But that's exactly why. Like, I need to know, and because I don't have like good judgment, and I think it is different for everyone, you know, for different people. If you have good judgment and you're like, you feel solid in your judgment, like you were saying, a lot of the issues came from like you were insecure about it or whatever. But like, if you genuinely feel like very solid in your judgment, and like it's a consistent thing, it's not just like, oh, but this one's different, this guy's different, or this person or whatever's different, you can like feel fine. And like, you won't care what other people are saying about your relationship in a way, and they shouldn't like be badgering you with all these opinions, because it's not really their place. But so who, answering the question, can have an opinion? I think it's like your closest friends. Like, I would always go to you first.
Yeah, I feel like it's the people whose opinion you care about.
Yeah.
That's the people that can have an opinion.
Yeah.
You know? Because,
Yeah.
like, otherwise it's like, why are you telling me? I literally don't care. Like,
Yeah.
if you think that my relationship is shit, I did not fucking ask you. Like, you know?
Yeah, that's so true.
I don't know. Yeah, so if you care, so, like, your best friends, sorry to cut you off, and, like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Not that I don't care about my parents' opinion, but I'm also not gonna be like, they don't, as kind of back to what I was saying, like, how much information do they have already?
Yeah,
Like, how
exactly.
much do they know about, like, what I'm talking about? Unless I'm like, what do you think about this situation specifically? You know, like, what would you do? Or, like, that kind of thing. Then, yeah, my parents, I'm not sure. Like, even though I'm pretty open with my parents, so.
Yeah. And I think with parents, it can be difficult because, like, obviously they want you to be happy, and sometimes their idea of what your happiness looks like is very different from what your idea of your happiness looks like. And, like, I'm not saying this is true of my own life necessarily, but, like, I know some people's parents, like, really, really push them being in a relationship. So they will, like, make all of these excuses for someone just because they want them to, like, be in this relationship and they think that will make them happy. But actually it's like, I don't know. Yeah, obviously that's not the case for a lot of people, but I think sometimes you just have to, like, be wary. And, like, I think we put our parents on a pedestal a lot with, like, oh, but they've got, like, this perfect relationship or whatever, or, like, you know, they must know what they're doing because they're the adult.
Yeah.
But I don't know, that's not the case.
Yeah, I don't know. Parents, I think, is a weird one because, like, I just think it's very dependent on, like, I know so many people that would never, like, want their parents to know anything really about their relationships and, like, wouldn't really talk about it with them and whatever. But I don't know, like, if my parents started, like, having opinions about my relationship, I would find that really weird. Like, there have been comments made on occasion, and, like, just kind of been like, okay, because I know that this is the thing, when you kind of know that someone doesn't know shit. Yeah. Like, it's easy to kind of just be like, okay. Yeah. But, like, when you know that they know stuff about your relationship, it's, like, harder to, like, I don't know, that at least that's how it works for me. It's, like, I take it a little bit more personally because then it's, like, shit, there's, like, some truth to what they're saying because they actually know what they're talking about. That's true. Rather than, like, you literally don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I mean, there have been, like, instances with my mum as well where, like, with my ex, I've given all the evidence against this person, and, like, she will still be like, oh, but he's such a sweet guy, and I'm like, genuinely, how do you still think that? You know?
Yeah, and she, like, to be fair, because she kind of got to form her own opinion of him, though, because she, like, properly met him and everything, so it's not even, like, what does she think about the relationship? Not even just the person.
I don't really know, to be honest. Well, when we broke up, she was like, oh, you're so sad. Maybe you should get back together because you're so sad. And I was like, no, I think I just need to get through this, like, withdrawal period and then I'll be good. But yeah, I mean, I still, like, obviously value her advice and, like, I tell her a lot. So yeah, again, it's one of those things of, like, I don't know, it's a bit confusing if you're saying the opposite thing to, like, what all my friends are saying. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway.
I mean, I'd get my parents' advice more on, like, breakup. They're more of a, like, just make me, like, you know, comfort me and whatever, rather than, like, give me the advice that I need to hear.
At the end of the day, you are going to make your own judgment as well. Like, I'm more likely to make a decision based on what my friends say than on, like, what my family say, you know?
Yeah.
Because, like, with my first ex as well, like, obviously my mum was like, this is so bad, like, and my aunt was like, you should just break up with her, even though she'd never met her. I didn't even tell her anything about the relationship. But then when you guys had that whole, like, intervention, which we'll get into, I was like, oh fuck, okay, maybe this is kind of bad. But yeah.
Oh god. I kind of don't remember, like, the conversation I had with you about when I was like, I don't want to, like, talk about my boy, like, Shane anymore.
I don't think we even really had a conversation. I think it kind of came to, like, quite a boiling point of, like, you being like, oh, but it's just like,
oh yeah, I don't think we ever had a conversation.
Yeah, no, I think you only said it afterwards.
Said it in the podcast, like, or something.
No, I think you said it, like, after this, like, commenting had passed, you know?
Yeah, because I was like, that sounds so mature of me. Like, I would not have done that.
No, we didn't have a conversation about it. It was like after I had kind of like already been like, okay, this is probably a bit much, but like I was still like very, I don't know, I felt some kind of way about it, but I was like, maybe I should kind of like, I kind of sensed that like it was not cool, or like maybe other people were like, it's not cool or something. I don't know, I don't fully remember. But then I remember afterwards we were like, I think it was at my house, we were in my garden. Yeah, so I think you just kind of said it like more broadly to like a few of us, of like, oh, but you guys have
yeah,
said...
no, because I remember at the time, like, it pissed me off, like, the stuff that that
another one of our friends had said.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you just kind of said it more broadly, and I was like, okay, yeah, that kind of just like sets that like nicely.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I feel like there was just a very big arc of like, the whole conflict started, I just was like, whoa, this is so bad, like, oh fuck. And then I was like, okay, I really need to stop and like calm down, because I feel like this isn't cool. And then I just kind of like tried to pull it back a bit, and then once it had already kind of like, it was on the like downwards spiral, you said it, and I felt really bad. Like I was embarrassed about how I had been acting.
No, but it's fine. Like,
yeah, it's fine.
To be honest,
now.
It really wasn't that, like, it was like, it annoyed me at the time, but it wasn't that deep. It wasn't like, oh my god, like, how dare they do this?
Yeah.
It was just like annoying.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It was fine.
No, yeah, obviously. But I mean, now it's fine. It's not deep anymore. But yeah. Anyway, what is it okay to have an opinion on? I feel like we have kind of covered it, but like...
Yeah, this is kind of another thing I was going to ask. Like, I guess this is kind of getting to that, like, what kind of stuff is okay and like what kind of stuff isn't okay,
because sometimes you're telling your friend about something and it's like, whoa, that's a massive red flag, like that is inexcusable, like that is like a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, when you told me that your ex was having a baby, I'm pretty sure I did say like, honey, what are you doing? Did I not?
I don't think you did.
Oh my god, oh my god.
You said it to Miranda.
No, because it must have... Low-key. Wait, was this before or after this whole thing with Shane had happened?
Before, I think.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
Wait, what do you mean?
Because I was kind of thinking, surely, like, if I didn't say something, it's because, like, at the time I was, like, really in this mood of, like, you shouldn't give your opinions, like, about, like...
actually, yeah, I kind of feel like maybe that was it.
After this whole thing had happened where, like, it pissed me off that you guys were making these comments, I was like, nah, like, now I'm on the... Like, I genuinely don't think you should give any kind of opinions. Like, it's not really your business, because, like, from the outside... Which, this is so true as well. Like, I feel like this is actually, like, really true. I feel like from the outside and from, like, the things that your friends tell you, like, it can sound, like, kind of bad or whatever, but it's because like you are just talking about the worst shit. Like, I'm not gonna sit with my friends and be like, oh my god, how cute is like this thing that Shane did, and like how cute is this, and how cute is this. It's like they don't give a fuck, like, you know.
But I feel like I'm the opposite. I feel like I will tell everything and still be like, oh, but it's not that bad. And like I will need someone to be like, you've said a lot of stuff that like that.
Yeah, okay. From now on, I know,
like,
because like if I did not say something about the child, like for God's sake, because I was thinking, I was like, this is not good.
Yeah,
like,
and you said
this is
to our
not
friend,
good.
you were like,
why would you do this?
Yeah, and then it kind of just kept getting worse from there. But in my mind, it wasn't a problem at that point. It wasn't really a problem until the summer when everyone like fully met him. And I remember you said to me, because you met him when you were drunk, and do you think he listens to this? Because he must be learning so much. Like, imagine your ex was talking about this. Like,
mate,
I would want to know.
I would love.
I would want to know. Like, shout out if you're listening, because you must be loving this. But yeah, like, you met him and you were drunk and you were like, oh honey, like he's really cool, like I rate him. And I was like, okay, it's all fine, I was drunk too. And then I remember like a few weeks later you were like, I'm kind of confused, like why you didn't ask me what I thought about him. And I was like, oh, because you kind of already told me like what you thought. I thought it was all fine. And then you were like, And also I think I just kind of got the vibe from most of my friends once they had met him in real life, because in case you guys don't know, like I was in a long distance relationship with my ex for like 7 months before my friends met him, and obviously there was like a couple of things before that were red flags, and then once they met him, it kind of just like solidified the whole thing, and I could actually see their reactions in real time. It wasn't just like over text, like, oh, what's he doing, ha ha ha, you know. It was like I saw people's like the way they acted with him, and like I was like, oh wow, this is like bizarre, you know. And I was a little bit hurt at first with like a couple of people of like, oh, why are they being so weird with him, like why are they acting so off with him? I expect them to make more effort. And then I kind of just like, as more time went on and like the more people this happened with, I was like, oh wow, okay, this is something I should pay attention to. This must sound so dramatic to people listening, like as if he's a horrible person, but he's not. He's really not. But like, I just think there were things that it was clear we weren't a good match. And like, that's why I value people's opinions, because I'm like, as I said, sometimes I really struggle to like contextualize my own feelings within the relationship, or like quantifiable things that I have said all in one place. So I think it's just really helpful to like have those grounding people, basically, because I am very all or nothing, and you are also all or nothing, but also in kind of a different way. So I don't know, let's leave that line of questioning. But so what is it that you can have an opinion on? Like, I don't think it's okay to just be like, oh, I don't like him as a person, unless he's like unless they're a horrible person, you know, and like they're like a drug addict, or like a murderer, or like a sex offender, or like, you know, you feel unsafe around them in some way, basically.
I don't know, I just feel like it's slightly unnecessary. Like, you wouldn't chat shit about like your friend's brother or something, like, just be like, I just feel like it's that kind of thing of like, you don't really need to be giving your opinion if you don't really like, if you don't like them, that's cool, like that you obviously don't have to like everyone you meet, especially like even if that person is like your best friend's significant other, like that's fine. Like,
they might just not be your kind of person, but if you feel unsafe around them, I think that's a different thing.
And
I think I think the first thing you should do is to like kind of just try to not spend time around that person. But if that comes at the expense of your friendship with your friend who's dating that person, I think that's a different thing. Like, if that means you can't spend time with them as much anymore, that kind of changes things. And I think if then the friend picks up on the fact that you're like trying to distance yourself from that person, you kind of have to say like, oh, this is because I feel a certain kind of way about your boyfriend. And I think it's like affecting our friendship or whatever, you know? Or like, I'm worried for your well-being. You know, like, I think those are obviously like worst case scenario things. And then like, I think it's easy to have an opinion on like arguments and like things along the way as well, especially if you're getting all this like info. But then the big question is like, is it okay to have an opinion on that? Because I think there's a difference between like having an opinion and like talking it through with your friend and being like, oh, well, I feel like you can respond like this, or like, you know. But if it's just like advice on like the relationship as a whole, rather than like circumstantial, like situational advice, if it's unsolicited, that's not okay.
I kind of agree with that. Sort of give advice if it's asked for, or like if you're talking through a situation, but don't give sort of like big opinions about the person. Maybe. And don't like make generalizations about the relationship, like, oh, but you know, your relationship's very like this, like very like mother and son vibes. Like, I'd be like, what? Or like, because the thing is, like, I feel like some of these observations sometimes, you know, it can be true, but like, it's like, I don't want to hear it. Like,
unless I've already said it.
Exactly.
And like, I'm kind of still in denial about it, because that's definitely something that I do.
I feel like it's kind of like the sibling thing. Like, I can chat shit about my sibling, but like, you can't say it.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, I don't have siblings, so I can't relate.
Or like your
but
mom.
like I know what you mean. Yeah, I
You're,
know what
like,
I
you
know
know,
what
whoever.
mean.
Yeah. And like I've also had a situation where like, because like the situation with you wasn't really like you weren't like chatting shit about him or whatever. It was just more of a like, you know, it had gone to a point where it's like all I said about him was bad things, basically. So it was kind of a like, now the opinion was like bad, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a friend that literally just like constantly like chatting shit about my boyfriend, like as a person, and like just like our relationship, and like genuinely was kind of like, if you came to me and you were like you had fucked up or whatever and were like wanting to fix the relationship or whatever, like I wouldn't help you or whatever.
But yeah,
like I don't support this for no reason. Like I'd understand if it was like, I understand giving kind of a crazy ultimatum like that if it was like, if I was with like a drug addict and like was going this like horrible dark path. Like I feel like that's like low-key, I do think that's acceptable to be like, draw a boundary of like, I'm not gonna help you like fix this, or like I'm not gonna, like, don't support this relationship, so like I don't really want to hear about it, because I also do think like see how it's so fucking annoying when like your friend is constantly complaining about shit and like saying how shit everything is and like crying or whatever, because like you don't want to see your friend upset as well and unhappy. Like all you want is for your friend to be happy, and then just sit there and then like the next day everything's fine or whatever, or like, you know, it's like so fucking annoying. So I do also understand drawing that boundary for yourself and being like, listen, like I don't want to hear about this. Like that's fine if like you're gonna stay in this, but like just don't talk to me about it.
Yeah,
and, like,
but it's different to like chat shit.
And like be like, I don't know, it was just like a weird of like, I don't support this relationship just for no reason, for the fact that he just doesn't like my boyfriend.
Yeah.
And to me that's just kind of like, okay, but like I'm happy and like this is like what I want to do, and like you not supporting that is kind of fucking weird. And I basically just had to be like, you have to stop making like any comments about my boyfriend, because it's just weird. Like it's I don't understand where like you have to chat shit about him. Like imagine his friend was like, he had a friend that was just like constantly chatting shit about me, and he just like didn't even say shit. Like I would not feel fine with that. And he was like, yeah, to be fair, that's fine, I understand that. And from then on, like, you know, hasn't said anything.
That's good.
But yeah, I guess that was one that I was like, no, like definitely like I want to say something. And I didn't make it like a big deep thing. Like, well, I don't know, it kind of turned into a weird situation in the end, but like in the moment, like the thing wasn't weird. Like I kind of just like said it as a like, yeah, by the way, like you need to stop making these comments because like it's weird, dude. And then just like explain like, oh, imagine it was this, like in a way that he would kind of get where I'm coming from. And yeah, that was fine. But
yeah, but okay, but then should we talk about the like little intervention you guys had with me?
Oh yeah.
Because I feel like that's like the other side of what we were just talking about, of like, I knew there were problems in the relationship, but I kind of just like let myself keep being hurt, and you guys were kind of like, this has gone too far, like you need, I feel like, to break it off now.
I feel like, well, I don't know, the way I see it, like you kind of felt trapped as well. It was kind of like you were aware of like all these things, but you kind of didn't feel like there was a way out. And like it was kind of like, yeah, but this is just the way things are.
Yeah, that's true.
So like, you know, but anyway, carry on.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of like a very symptomatic thing of toxic relationships. Again, if you guys don't know, my first relationship I was in, we did a whole episode about it in season 1, so you can go listen. Like first and falling in love, we talked about it in both, and like several others, but just passingly. Yeah, so I was in a relationship with a girl. It was just, we were obviously very young, like I was 16, we were like 16 and 17, and it just became very like toxic. We just weren't good for each other, and like we were both going through things like mental health and just like the perils of being a teenager, you know. But yeah, and it just like got to a really, really bad stage. We're gonna do an episode with her. I'm so excited. And like now it's all fine, so I feel good to talk about it. But like I just, it was clear that like I was not in a good place, and like I was not physically healthy, I was not mentally healthy, and I could not function as a person. And I knew it was bad, but I kind of had just accepted that that was how it was going to be, and I kind of felt like I had to stay for like her well-being. And and I would always complain about it and be like, oh, but this happened. And like, I think subconsciously I knew that it was happening because I was like making all these notes on my phone of like, oh, this happened and this happened, and like kind of like gathering all this information that I needed. And then it kind of all came to a boiling point when like after it had just been going on for way too long, and you guys sat me down. I mean, I don't think it was like planned, at least I don't think so. Like, was it, or did it just kind of happen in the moment?
I mean, not that it was planned, but I feel like it was like
it had been coming,
you know,
for a while,
exactly.
Yeah, so, and I must have just been talking about it, or like something had happened, like we'd had an argument, and like I was going through this whole thing of like locking myself in the bathroom and crying and not telling anyone exactly what had happened. And yeah, you guys were just like, this is too much, like you need to do something about it. And then the school got involved, and like I had to get involved in other ways with like her family and stuff, and like loads of people had to be involved basically because it had just gone way too far. And obviously this is a very extreme situation, but like it was needed, like that intervention was needed. I don't think we would either like be okay or like the people we are today if we had stayed, like we could, there was no way we could stay in that relationship basically. And like to everyone else it was apparent, and something needed to happen for like for us both to be like, okay, this needs to stop basically. And like it still didn't even stop after that. But still, that was like the beginning of the end, you know. So I mean, I don't know what the point of that story was, but I guess to just show like the other side of like how extreme it is, like when you need to say something, like obviously if it's a toxic or abusive situation, something needs to be said, but also it can be so tricky if like the person feels like they just need to accept that that's how it is, or like they feel unsafe in some way, you know, like somehow they like it's very common of abusive relationships that like if someone else says something they'll just like cut you out of their life, you know. And I think sometimes you have to run that risk, like if you're someone's friend, of like, okay, my ego and my friendship with them isn't as important as like their safety or their well-being, and I'm willing to just like put this information out there for them to like process in their own time. And if that means we can't be friends anymore, that's fine. But at least they have this information, and they can like, maybe it will like always be in the back of their mind until one day they accept it. Because with me it was like I always knew in the back of my mind like this needs to stop, and like people could say as much as they want, and like the more people said the more it became clear in my mind, but like I still had to take that next big step of being like, okay, well now this is gonna stop, you know. Like it was me that had to like make that decision. So yeah, like if that had meant like, I mean, not in my situation, but like if in other situations, if that means the person who tells you the news you don't want to hear can't be friends anymore, then like, yeah, like, I don't know.
Yeah, so
it kind of needs to happen, you know? And it's such a shit position for both people to be in, but like, sometimes that's just how it is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's complicated, and like, I do think it also has a lot to do with sort of like your personal boundaries with the people that you have in your life and that kind of thing, because I do think it's like very different for everyone. Like I do see how like a lot of people really wouldn't have a problem with like, you know, commentary and like whatever, and want to hear that shit, but I'm sure there's loads of people that literally don't want to hear a peep out of you, like never anything. So I just think it's about like, I don't know, seeing where your boundaries lie, because like how I was saying, I literally didn't even know that it would bug me, or like that it was bugging me or whatever, because like it had never before, you know. But it's just, I don't know, trying to figure that shit out and have some uncomfortable conversations sometimes, I guess. But also just like shut the fuck up and mind your own business, and like trust. I think like obviously it all comes from a place of like, I care about you and I want to see you happy, and like that's kind of the goal, I'm sure, a lot of the time. So I just feel like, I don't know, if it's not coming from that place, and like if that's not really like the ultimate goal, just let people do like what they're doing. Like, yeah, even if you wouldn't make that choice, and even if you wouldn't make that decision, and like you wouldn't stay in that relationship or whatever, everyone's still entitled to just fuck up if that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And like everyone can make their own decisions, of course, like if you really feel the need to like say from your point of view or whatever. I don't know, I think if you like keep it a lot like from where I'm standing, or like from like just very much like this is just my opinion, of course, like I don't, at least like I feel like I give so many caveats when I like talk to people about their relationships. I'm always like, of course, like I don't see the full side and like everything, because like I think that's to me what like was bothering me, of like, okay, but you guys don't see like all the other good shit, you know? So
yeah,
I don't know, I think give people the benefit of the doubt that they're like smart.
Yeah, definitely.
But if you're worried, I think say something.
Yeah, I'm always like, my caveat is always like, oh, but I definitely wouldn't say this, but I think you should, you know, like I know personally I wouldn't, because I know myself, but like this is what, like from outside, like yeah, exactly as you said, from outside the relationship it can seem so clear, all the issues, but when you're like emotionally in it, it's so hard. And like, yeah, you can see something so clearly if you've been through a certain experience. Like there's friends that I have that are in relationships that I'm just like, that is like crazy to me. Like I would never knowingly get into that situation, but then look at me going and getting into these situations once I have like a tiny bit of emotional investment, you know? So you have to just like have compassion for people, and like, yeah, people make mistakes, as you said, and like you just have to guide them along the way, and like be nice to your friends, look after them, but like don't say stuff out of turn, you know?
And to go with sort of like that, you kind of get swept up in these feelings and stuff, like I also think that is why it's like it's important to have this open line of communication with people about your relationship. Like I kind of find it weird, people that like you're not really allowed to talk about your relationship to other people, or like, you know, there's no one that you kind of like vent to or whatever, because it's like I do feel like sometimes you do need like a little bit of an outsider's perspective, and someone that's not in all those feelings to give you a little bit of like, okay, that was a little bit dodge, or like, you know.
I just find it weird when I don't know things about people's relationships at all. Like you don't tell me anything. I'm like, it's either so good or there's something wrong, you know? Like, I don't know, I just get a bit suspicious. So yeah, definitely having that open communication. And you should never like stop being friends with someone or like distrust someone when you're in a relationship, because you need your friends. You need your friends like so much. Like I literally don't know where I would be without you guys, honestly. I would just be in LA probably, mate. Looking after someone else's kid.
Imagine.
So yeah, thank God for friends.
But let us know what you guys think further, you know. Do you guys agree? Like, what are some situations that have happened to you? Like, let us know anything really related to this. We love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. And you can let us know your thoughts on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Sextras Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube at Sextras Podcast. You can leave us a little comment or go to our website, www.sextraspodcast.com. Send us an email, sextraspodcast@gmail.com. The list is getting so long now. It's actually ridiculous. Or send us a little anonymous submission on the website, or like whatever you want, basically. And we would love to know your thoughts, your feelings, and what's going on in your life. Let us know. And yeah, we will see you next week.
Bye.
You've been listening to Sextras, presented by Honey Jane Wyatt and Maria Jose Hayodatiyi, produced by Mabel Productions.